My mother named me after the rain, not because it was raining when I was born, it wasn't. It hadn't rained in 4 years. She named me after the rain because she said if she spoke the word enough times, it would remember us. I grew up in a village that no longer exists, not because of war, not because of politics, because the desert came and swallowed it whole grain by grain, year by year, until one morning we woke up and there was sand where the millet used to be. We were Songhai people, and we had lived along the edge of the Sahara for 1,000 years. My grandmother remembered when the land was green. She would describe it the way other people describe a dream: beautiful, impossible, already half forgotten. My father was a trader. He walked 300 kilometers to market and back 4 times a year, carrying salt and cloth and dried fish on the backs of 2 camels. I would watch him leave from the edge of the village, growing smaller and smaller until the heat made him disappear. I used to wonder if the desert was slowly eating him too. A little more each trip. When I was 7 years old, the well ran dry. Not slowly, not with warning. One morning it simply gave nothing. My mother lowered the bucket and pulled it back up empty, and she stood there for a long time holding the rope, saying nothing, her face doing something I didn't have a name for yet. I would learn later that it was grief, not for the water, for everything the water meant. We had a word in our language, a single word for the feeling of watching something you love disappear and being unable to stop it. I cannot translate it into English. Some things only exist in the language of people who have lived them. We walked 40 kilometers to find another well. My mother carried my baby sister on her back and a clay pot on her head, and she never put either one down. I carried a smaller pot and tried to walk the way she walked, straight, steady, like the ground had no right to be difficult. I was not afraid. Children are not afraid of things they don't yet understand. I thought this was simply what life was: walking toward water, walking back, making the distance into something ordinary. There was an old man in our village named Amadou. He was so old that no one remembered when he had arrived or where he had come from. He had a scar that ran from his ear to his chin, and he never explained it. He spent most of his day sitting in the shade of a thorn tree, watching the horizon like he was waiting for something. One evening I sat beside him and asked him what he was looking for. He said, "I am watching for the first cloud." I told him there were no clouds. There hadn't been clouds in months. He said, "I know, that is why I must keep watching. If no one watches for the thing that is missing, how will it know where to come back to?" I thought about that for years. I still think about it. When I was 12, my family joined a larger group of families who were moving south toward the Niger River. We packed everything we owned onto the camels and into bundles, and we walked. Some people cried, most didn't. There is a kind of sorrow that is too large for tears. It sits in your chest like a stone, and you carry it because there is nothing else to do. I looked back once, just once. The village looked small and pale in the morning light. The thorn tree where Amadou used to sit was still there. He had refused to leave. He said he would stay and watch for the cloud until it came. I never saw him again. I am an old woman now. I have lived in 3 countries and raised 5 children and survived things I do not talk about at dinner. But sometimes, in the early morning before the rest of the world wakes up, I stand at my window and I look at the sky. I am watching for the first cloud, because someone